Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining. You're watching Talent Talk, and I am your host, Gary McLean. I just wanted to remind everyone that time is running out on our co host contest. There are 3 weeks left on the deadline. So if you are a viewer, a fan, a previous guest, or just bored out of your skull, make sure you send in a 1 to 2 minute video expressing why you think you'd be the ideal candidate to co host this show on the season finale, December 12th. Contest is ending November 14th, and the winner will be announced on November 18th. So please have a look at the pin post on the Talent Talk Facebook page, as well as the official Talent Talk website at talenttalkmedia.ca for more submission details. Another reminder, this is a live show, so please say hi, ridicule us, ask questions, whatever you're feeling. Just let it out, because this is a bit interactive, so let's have some fun with it. And now, for the reason you're actually all here, today's guest. He's an actor, writer, director. He has co starred on NCIS New Orleans and the CW's Valor. He was later featured in the CW pilot for Skinny Dip, sorry, and HBO's True Detective. His recent role on as Lucky in the 24th is considered to be his breakout performance, and he is also a self-taught musician and plays the piano and organ for his church. In between gigs, he writes, produces short films, and proof of concepts. And we will definitely touch on all these items as we progress through the show. So please join me in welcoming Lorenzo Yearby. Morning, Lorenzo.
Morning, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well.
Excellent. You're in Atlanta right now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And how's the weather?
It's pretty good. Actually, it's been really good. We had a couple of rain last week, but it's been pretty sunny the whole time this week.
Nice. I just asking that because I want to live vicariously through you right now because it's snowing here. So
Wow.
yeah, there's probably a good 2-3 inches of snow right now that I can see. So
No, we don't get that too much.
all right, so I'm going to enjoy the summer through you, um, or the nice weather at least. Um, no, thanks for joining us today. By the way, I appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us.
Definitely.
Um, you are based out of Atlanta. I mean, obviously, COVID is caused some grief for some folks. But
Mm.
while you're filming, do you travel back and forth to LA or?
I've only been to LA a couple of times. Most of the projects I've been shooting are, it's been like New Orleans or Arkansas, North Carolina. So not too many trips to LA. I don't think I haven't done any work in LA yet. So I'm hopefully soon though.
Okay, and you know what? It's been a few years now, but that whole area, like the Atlanta, Georgia area, has really boomed over the last several years in terms of film.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic. I've seen a lot of productions down there. I'm like, man, I'd really like to actually audition and go down there.
Yeah, because I
If
mean, I
not,
was going to leave for a minute. Like a lot of people were saying, move out to LA, and then by the time I thought about making the decision, the industry was booming so much here. I was like, well, why leave? I'll
yeah, absolutely,
wait later.
absolutely. So just out of curiosity, when did this all kind of start for you? Like, were you as a kid just acting stuff out and pretending to be, I don't know, whatever. I
Yeah,
mean, we
I
all
was
played war
definitely.
when we were kids and stuff like that, I guess. But
Yeah, with my toys, I was the kid talking to the toys and creating little plays and stuff together, and something I always wanted to do. But like I said, when I was younger, we lived in a small town, and there was really no opportunity there. There was really no acting or any of that, type of stuff. And I think it's something my mother heard me say, and she just made a decision to move to a bigger city, which was Atlanta, even though the industry wasn't there as much, but it was much more opportunity here. And I was at the library one day and I was looking up extra work after I decided, I'm going to make this move. And this guy by the name of Theodore Salazar, he walked over to my computer and he was like, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to, figure out how to get into acting. And he showed me a website, how to find extra work. And I think I've only spent 30 seconds of my life around him. And because he walked over to my computer and, the universe used him, it's how my career got started. And I couldn't be more thankful. Like, really couldn't.
uh, yeah, I mean that's awesome actually, to have a situation like that. And starting in background, I've had this conversation with other guests as well. To me, is a great way to start. It just gives you an overview of how things operate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great learning experience. Um, So was film the first thing you did, or did you kind of? Because I know you delved in theater a little bit as well.
Oh yeah. I did theater, which I definitely enjoyed, and I think it taught me a lot. For one, I mean, you only get one chance to say your lines. There is no second take, so and just having to remember an entire play, all of your lines in the entire play at one time, just set me on a good path when it came to film. Sometimes you don't have to know your lines for that day, but I try to learn them beforehand. But yeah, I love theater a whole lot. You get that reaction because the audience is right there, and
Yes.
just seeing how you can sway people's emotions, like it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I agree. I enjoy it. Plus, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same for you, but you tend to build up those relationships a bit more concretely, I think,
Yeah,
because you spend so much time with these people. Whereas
mhm.
film, you could spend one day with a group and then you're done with them, right?
All right, exactly.
And then also with the theater, like you said, you get that instantaneous reaction, but then you also
Mhm.
have the opposite effect where you're expecting a reaction and you don't get it, and then all of a sudden in your head you're like, "Well, that didn't go as planned."
Yeah,
I
and
don't know if you had that yet, but
yeah,
yeah,
sometimes you got to improv and just keep rolling with it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, so have you done a lot of theater or?
Not compared to some of my friends. I wouldn't say a lot of theater, but I think I've done enough of it. I've definitely done enough of it to, yeah.
Okay, oh,
Mhm.
that's fair. Um, and do you remember your actual first paid gig? And what did it?
First paid gig. I think my first paid gig, well, in film, was also interesting stories. The same. It was. I can't make this up. It literally was about 80 yards from the library that I learned about acting when I met Theater Salazar was the film set for ATL, is a movie that we shot in. I think it was 2004, 2005, with Chris Robinson and T.I. and Jason Weaver. And I was on set as an extra, which I had just learned how to be. And I think I kept making the director laugh. And he was having a rough day one day, and they needed somebody to do this fall scene, like as play a nerd in the film. And he was like, "Hey, you come here." And I'm thinking it's extra work, So he said, "I want you to do this, that, and the other, fall down the hallway." And so he told me what to do, and I get ready to do it. And I think I'm getting ready to do. He's like, "Nope, first you got to go sign the contract." So I go to the trailer, and I'm like, "Wait, I'm making how much money for for doing this?" And it's like my first time on set, and I think my story is kind of amazing. It can mislead people to think it's easy, but yeah, I was the nerd in the film, and it was, ever since then I was like, I got to keep doing this, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then
Yeah.
you're hooked, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
There's somewhat of a similar story as well for me. Like I was doing some background. I won't get into the details of how it all started, because it's not about me. But yeah, it was really fun. Like I spent 8 hours on set as background on my first day, and I
Mhm.
just that was it. That's all I needed, and I was hooked. From
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
yeah, I got to do this more often. And then from there, again, I don't know how long it kind of took you, but I did that for a couple of years, and then I started writing my own shorts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I don't know what your transition was kind of like, but
Oh, it's
um,
much longer. I think it was years, and it might have been 7, 8, maybe 9. Not say like 8 years later. I to be honest, I would go through breakdowns and stuff, and I would want certain type of roles, and they really weren't there, at least for black men here. And so I said I want to start writing the type of roles that I want to see, because a lot of people complain about it, but like I say, they don't do anything about it. And so I started studying screenwriting, and that was my whole motivation behind that. Want to put more positive roles for black men on screen, and just more stories. Period. More stories. Period. So that's how mine started.
okay. Just out of curiosity, can you tell us a little bit about your first solo project that you kind of wrote and did?
Oh, my first solo project was still my baby, and I'll love it till I leave this earth. It's called Selfless True Happiness. And it was when I was studying and writing for a while, and there's a saying that some people study and never do, and some people just always shoot but they never study. And so you have to find that balance. And I was one of those. I was studying and studying and studying, but I was too scared to shoot. So one day I just told my friend, I said, whatever I write in the next 3 hours, I'm going to shoot it. I think I said next month, the next month, because I had some equipment lying around and stuff. And so, naturally, if you only write something in 3 hours, I had to draw from personal experiences. And it was, pretty much the story of my childhood. My mother raised me this way. She would always help homeless people and stuff like that. And so we would feed homeless people and help them out and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty much telling the story of my childhood. Some homeless people lived near me, and I would always give them food and stuff like that. And I still try to this day. And I think the story was based around a boy who was bullying me at the time, and I ended up having to help him, not knowing that he was homeless himself. And he was his so much anger, as most bullies, I think everyone knows that most bullies go through stuff at home and they take it out on kids at school. And then you find out like, oh my gosh, he's homeless. And then I go to give him some food and he's like embarrassed, and I'm pretty trying to get emotional and empath, but just tell him, it's all right. Now I see what you're going through. I know why you're doing the stuff to me that you're doing. But yeah, that film I loved forever.
And how long of a film was it? Like 5-10 minutes?
That film, I was crazy. I'm a very ambitious person. So that film was 26 minutes for my first film. I don't know what I was thinking, but we got it done. And then that's when I learned you got to have a pretty decent computer to edit on. And I was editing on some rinky-dink old laptop, but we got it done.
And because there was so much personal attachment to it, like that must have been, once you finished it, you must have had a huge sense of accomplishment for that thing.
Yes. I mean, like even I look back at it now, and of course there's always going to be some things you'll change, but I look back at it now and I still feel the same every time. I feel the same emotion every time I see it, even though some shots were underexposed and some sound may have been off. Yeah, it literally would be probably my favorite film forever. No matter what I shoot, I could probably shoot a $200 million film and that's probably still going to be my favorite film.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. I get that for sure. So from there, actually, how long ago was that? I guess would be the other thing that you actually did that.
Oh, the time thing. That was 4 years ago. It seems so much longer ago, but I think it was 4 years ago, 2016. Yeah.
Okay. And sorry, just out of curiosity, how long do you think you've actually been in the acting film industry?
Oh, the industry since 2005. But like I said, the industry wasn't here before. I think we may have like ATL that I was in, and I think we had We Are Marshall. And we probably shot 4 films here over the span of 6 or 7 years. And so I was just sticking around. I didn't get an agent until about 5 years ago. And so I really love this. So it was never about the money or fame because it was not happening here because the opportunity wasn't here. But yeah, I've been doing it a while.
Yeah. No, I get that as well. It's not super busy here, so definitely not doing it for the money. Yeah, just doing it for the love and the passion of it.
Yeah.
There's another, like, I know you don't want to dwell on this one too much, but you also did another character creation, which was quite popular, it seems. And I just wonder if you wanted to chat about Pastor Petty a little bit. Yeah. And how that developed for one thing, and kind of how it blew up a bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I think a lot of times I've done it. I still do it. We write stuff and, it's funny to us and stuff, but you got to know if it's going to be funny to an audience. Can I sell these concepts or these jokes to other people or whatever? And so it started as a writing exercise to just practice my comedic chops to see if my jokes would go over in whether it's a screenplay or a TV show I was writing. And so I did it one day. And I think the second video I did, it just like really took off. And I did one for the Super Bowl and I posted it, not thinking of anything of it. Just hopefully my friends will give me some feedback. Maybe this is funny, Lorenzo, or whatever. And I woke up the next morning and it had like 700,000 views. And I was like my notifications was just, I heard my phone buzzing all through the night, but I thought I was having some kind of dream. But yeah, I woke up the next day and it was just like 700,000 views in like 24 hours. And I was kind of felt pressure to stick to it after, then. And but yeah, I think people really enjoy it. I have a really different style of comedy and how I deliver jokes. And I think a lot of people thought I was a comedian, but I'm a writer and I'm an actor. So I'm just acting out my writing and, trying to stick to the character. I think what made it funny and what made it take off is that the character stayed the character. I didn't have that style that I did anything that was funny. I just had to make sure it had to be in that vein of how I created the character. He has a scratchy voice and he doesn't holler a lot. And not saying anything bad about people who do it, but I don't like comedy that's only based on being loud or slapping stuff or hitting people. I want to make sure my jokes are funny because I'm a writer, and I think people just really enjoyed it. So it was kind of cool to see, people enjoying your work. So no matter, even if it's on social media.
Oh, absolutely, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a satisfaction in that. You did quite a few episodes too, I think, right?
Yeah, I think I did at least 77. I feel like
Yeah,
I had five seasons of a show. I was like, cool, somebody give me a show.
right. Um, and did you? So out of that, did you actually create like a kind of a feature version of it, or?
I did. We filmed the proof of concept, and it took us a while to get it done because I'm working with my writing partner, who's also she's an amazing television writer. Just, I mean, amazing. She definitely needs to get found out and be a creator of a show. But we were shooting all our proof of concepts at one time, so it took me a while to get it finished. And I think COVID just kind of ruined the whole pitch season of that because that's what we thought we were going to be doing this year. So we'll see what happens after that. We did the proof of concept, and we're gonna see if we can pitch it and get it sold. I think there's definitely an audience. I know there's audience for it. So yeah, hoping it gets picked up.
Right, right. But your kind of passion role, I guess, is more dramatic, right? More so than
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah, definitely. I love I talk about roles like Antwone Fisher, um, Cuba Gooding Jr. And Radio. Like I like that type of stuff. I think a lot of people when they're I don't want to say that, but some people when they get into acting, they want to be the sex symbol, the Will Smith, the Tom Cruise. But I love the meaty stuff, like But I know we are getting more towards the kind of PC, but I love those roles, Radio, Rain Man, that kind of stuff, the real character roles. Like I like that stuff. I'm not saying
Right,
just special needs, but character roles. I love that type of stuff that lets you transform and become somebody different. You know,
right. So
yeah.
having said that, like you mentioned, Cuba Gooding and so forth, but do you have a somebody that you kind of um, really, I don't know, look up to as an actor and
Oh, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx
Jamie
is my
Foxx?
number one. Like I think, like I know people know his value, but I still think he's still underrated to me. I mean, I don't think you can talk about Jamie enough. Like I mean, just the roles he's played. He's went from comedy and slapstick comedy all the way to dramatic roles, and playing Ray, Django, and all these types of characters. He's a successful musician. I'm a music. Well, I think maybe you can see I got a piano, organ, drums. I'm a musician myself, so to see him have success in music too, like he's had success in everything he's touched, and he's just so multi-talented. Yeah, Jamie Foxx definitely. I'm not big on I don't get starstruck or fangirl about too many people, but I'm definitely want to meet Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, The Rock, because he was part of my childhood, and he just passed away. It hurts me a lot, but Kobe Bryant, and so I'm hoping I get a chance to meet Jamie Foxx and The Rock before me or they go. I just hope so. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Um, so I mean, obviously they're on your list of people you'd want to work with as well.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
is there somebody else on your list aside from those two that you would
Man,
really
Viola Davis.
nice?
Oh man, the list is so long. I don't even know when to
Yeah,
start naming people because I'll
that's
leave
fair.
somebody out. But yeah, Jamie Foxx, Viola Davis. Big fan of Tom Hanks. Big fan of Tom Hanks. Um, yeah. Ryan Johnson. I would like to be in one of his films. I know some people have their. I know a lot of Star Wars fans don't like him for some stuff, but I really like Ryan Johnson. James Gunn. Oh my gosh, James Gunn. And it really has nothing to do. Here's a story. It has nothing to do with him doing Guardians in the Galaxy, and that is Marvel, and it makes a lot of money. I actually almost embarrassed to say this, but I was in a film competition, and we had a guest speaker that came in for the lunch, and I got a chance to talk to James Gunn. But it was before I knew who James Gunn was, and he was just so literally down to earth in a way that you can't fake it. Yeah, I mean, you can't fake it. Him telling the stories about his brother and himself growing up, and wanted to be a writer and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, James Gunn, Jordan Peele, and Ryan Johnson. I think those are three top people that I want to work with as far as filmmakers. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Jordan Peele is definitely up there for me,
yeah. I
especially
mean,
some of his
I've
first
been
work.
on him before the films. Like I was so in love. Well, I am so in love still with Key and Peele. Just like the
Yeah,
stuff they do in so little time, and they give you a whole story, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
yeah. I mean, there's another guy, right? That's he's multifaceted, right? Just able
Mhm.
to do like the comedy,
Yeah,
obviously write. He can do dramatic for sure.
exactly.
Um, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
very talented.
Um, let's talk a little bit about some of the other shows that you've kind of been in, like NCIS.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, it was a one episode thing, I believe, on that one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was a
yeah,
one and out. Yeah.
and but I mean, that's a pretty big show to be on for one
Yeah,
thing.
it was a definitely a different experience for me. Just the whole, like I said, I'm not into all that kind of stuff, but just just think it was the first time I really was like taken care of, like everywhere. Like, okay, you get a car, you get this, and it's like real surreal experience. Nice hotels, beautiful hotel. Oh my gosh. But yeah, just working with Scott, and that was my first time just really, I think, working directly with somebody that I had seen on projects growing up, and to say I had to chew him out in this scene is like, it's like, wow. It took me a take to realize, like, oh, Lorenzo, like, pay attention, like, you really have to do this or whatever. So, but he was same, very down to earth, and but I think when people know who they are and they're secure in who they are in this industry, they don't try to make you feel small. Because I've ran into people that do that. They try to make you feel small because they don't. I guess maybe they don't feel like they're as known as they should be. But Scott was so down to earth and just really chill to work with. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, no, nice. I like to hear those stories because yeah, I've definitely known the other side of it as well, where
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
maybe not as nice as they could be.
Yeah, it's true. True.
But sorry, what year was that you were on there? It
That is.
was- I
I
know.
the time thing keeps getting me. Oh man,
I mean that in that regard, it's not
couldn't even call it. I
super
think it was like 2017 or 16, maybe something like that.
right. So it was, if you were pretty, I mean, for the most part, established by the time
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
to that
Uh-huh.
point. And it was one day on set, and oh, the one question I wanted to kind of ask you, and this is more of general question, not necessarily about NCIS, but do you have, shall we say, an onset anecdote of I don't know, something that just pops in your head that's something you're never going to forget that happened on set at this
Um,
point?
I will say, this is probably nowhere near the answer you were looking for, but it definitely happened on the 24th. I was, like I said, I've done stage plays in the past and done these type of emotional roles where you have to, just deliver a lot of emotion. But it wasn't until I did it that I realized, like, oh, like I'm not stupid. I've been on set before, but I was like, oh, I forgot I got to do this multiple times. And so I think we might have did it between, I was so in the zone, but it was between 12 to 19 times I had to do that same scene, same emotion, same energy every time. And I think it was like the third or fourth scene. I will never forget this. We're at the end of the scene, and the guys are chanting, and me being, I guess most people consider it Meisner, but for me, it's an empath. I can put myself in a situation and make myself, really feel like these are my friends or these, my people. And so as the guys are chanting, and I realized what's happening, and that I had done this or whatever to them, I started freaking out and I started hyperventilating. I've never hyperventilated in my life, and I like, as they call, cut. I jump up from the chair and I run like 30 yards across the set. It's a pretty big set. And if you've been on set, everyone knows that don't touch the camera, don't touch any of the gear. I crashed straight into the camera cart, like crash into the camera cart trying to catch my breath. And Trey Byers, the star of the film, the lead, and the producer and the writer of the film, he comes over and he's trying to console me and rub my back. And I'm like half embarrassed, half trying to figure out what's going on. I think I'm having a heart attack. But yeah, I got so deep into the scene that I just completely kind of lost myself for a minute. And I talk about this a lot. I think a lot of people say, "Well, how did Heath Ledger, or different people, how did they get in depression or kill themselves or whatever happened?" And it's like they don't realize how deep you get in these roles sometimes. Like you really have to be prepared for it. And that was a wake up call for me to know. I realize I can do it, but to be more prepared next time.
Yeah, and actually learn to be able to pull yourself out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not to go so far that you can't come back. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And that's happened. I mean, we've heard of about a number of actors, especially more the method ones. I think, right, that
Right. Mhm.
they just get so involved in their character, like it invades their personal life, and
Mhm. Yeah.
um, yeah, I definitely don't consider myself method. Unless it's an eating show, and then I'm totally method there. But um, but yeah, no, it's there's so many different aspects of acting, like ways to act, like the Meisner,
Right.
the method, and all these other ones.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know about yourself, and and I've had this conversation with some other guests where, they tend to pull what they need from each different one. I don't know. Are you kind of the same where you?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm 80. I'm just rough numbers. I think I would say I'm about, probably 75% Meisner, 25% method. Because I think with method is, substitution, all that kind of stuff, it could work up to a number of times. I kind of use method to get into the role, into the scene when I first started to do it. And then the rest of it is Meisner. I've now created with the method, I've mixed my world into the world that I'm in, and just make it one world. And so that's where I guess the Meisner comes in, which honestly is not something I've never taken a Meisner class, but because I'm an empath, so that's what I consider my Meisner, and I realize that that's what it is for other people. But being an empath, I really can feel people's emotions, and even my friend, I scare her sometimes. I can like tell exactly what's going on, what she's thinking when we're talking. She's like, "Will you stop doing that?" And but it's almost like a magic trick, almost. I call it cheating. It's my cheat code to acting.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it does. There is a certain benefit to being a bit of an empath. Unfortunately, I can't consider myself one,
Mhm.
um, but I definitely know a few that are, and yeah, it brings out that emotion when you need it, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, whereas I kind of have to fight to get that
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so yeah, I kind of wish I had a little bit more of that. Um, let's start diving into a little bit of on 24th, because that's kind of partially why we're here, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I do have a little bit of a clip that I would like to show folks, but I'd like you to kind of give an introduction to the film itself, your character, and how it all kind of developed, and where how you got to this point, I
Okay.
suppose.
Well, the 24th is about the 24th Infantry in 1917. It's a all black infantry, and they want to go to fight for the country in France, and they get stuck working on this construction site. Supposed to be watching over the construction workers, but the construction workers are giving them hell, and everybody in the community, and there's police brutality going on, and just all this racial tension. And it's they want to fight for the country in the war that's going on in the world, but they're fighting their own war at home, dealing with racism and stuff. And they're seeing themselves as men of honor because they're protecting their country, and they're fighting for the country, but they're still dealing with racism. And Lucky he's not like the other ones. Everybody else is in there maybe because they're trying to stay out of jail or some kind of punishment, but Lucky's happy to be there because Lucky's from this small town, with nothing. And so he's literally excited to be digging ditches. Everybody else is like, they want to be done with digging ditches, and it's fun to him. And so he's like a really naive and innocent kid, much more naive and innocent than the other guys. And he's the youngest also. And that's pretty much his character. And I think the way I got the role is that, taped auditions, a lot of things are taped these days and it's not in person. And I sent in a tape for a completely different role, and I was so happy about it. I wanted that role, and they sent me back another audition for another role. I was like, I wanted that role, and they want me to audition for this. So I end up technically getting the second role. And then when I got to set, the director said he saw something in me and wanted to switch me to Lucky. So I went through three different roles before I ended up getting Lucky. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. God, the universe always knows what to give you. So that's how that came about. Yeah.
Okay. Let's dive right into this little tidbit here.
Well, sir, we all looked up to Boston. And when he come back all beat up and pick up a rifle, that was it. It's when I made my mind to go. And I know it was the same for every man there. Boss, the most educated fella I done seen, colored or white.
I kind of mentioned this before, but yeah, like it was a very short clip, but it was a lot there.
Mhm.
So it was well done. I really enjoyed that clip. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. A little bit longer,
And
but I didn't want to give the story away.
yeah, for sure, I
Yeah.
understood. So the film itself, what stage is it at? Like, where like can people see it
Well, we
somewhere.
released it on video on demand on August 21st. So it's on Amazon, Google Play, Vudu, a lot of the video on demand platforms, and some of the cable providers, Charter, and I can't think of some other ones, but yeah, pretty much you can find it online on any of the online platforms,
Right.
YouTube, and all that. Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember your process to actually get into that zone you were in right during that scene? Um,
Like I said, I've used a lot of method. I've had uh yeah, I've had a rough life. Yeah, I've had a rough life, and drawn from some of the things that I've been through, and putting myself in that moment. And because I'm a musician, I use music a lot too. I think a lot of people use music. So just the song choice that I had in my playlist that I was listening to that day, and just think about some of the stuff I've been through, and I've had a friend who was killed due to police brutality. So it really wasn't hard for me when that's what the film is about. Actually, two friends. Trying to get emotional here, but so it wasn't hard to put myself really in that mode, and I just in the beginning was telling myself that my friends in the film were those friends in real life. And then from there, I kind of, like I said, kind of mixed them all together and made it one world instead of two different worlds, pulling back and forth and using substitution. But yeah, just made it that one world, that Boston and, all these guys, Franklin, were my actual friends who dealt with police brutality.
right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to delve into that a bit more, but we won't.
Yeah.
um, yeah, because that's not what the show's about. The political
Yeah.
side, anyway.
Mm.
Um, and sorry, how long was the actual shoot, and how many days were you kind of on set for that?
Oh, let's see. It's about 28 days, I think. Well, I was there. I know I was there 28 days or something around there. About 30 days, yeah. But I think we had maybe 22 shoot days or something like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. It was a pretty quick shoot.
Yeah, no, that is fairly quick.
Mm.
Yeah, it always amazes me sometimes how fast these things can go.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I mean, time is money, especially in this industry,
Oh,
right?
exactly. Right.
So yeah, they don't mess around.
Mhm.
So COVID, I think, is really throwing a wrench in things for the major productions right
Oh
now.
man, I'm ready for stuff to open back up. I'm just really hoping for stuff to open back up, and well, be safe at the same time. But yeah, I'm ready to get back to work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's the consensus for everybody really in the industry.
Mm.
Everybody's getting antsy.
Yeah, because I feel bad for some of my friends, especially that work on crew, and it's like, oh, I finally got a gig lined up, and then something will stop it again, and so yeah, it's really just it's a seesaw right now. It's back and forth.
Right.
Mm.
So other than your current, because you've done a few other interviews recently as well.
Mhm.
Um, other than the interviews themselves, do you do much on the promotional side for the film, or?
No. Well, one thing was we were, no, we were an independent film, so it's not much like studio backing and that whole marketing budget. I don't think people realize. And I've heard, and I think it's sure like that people see the budget of the film, but they realize the marketing budget is that's not that budget. And so our marketing was supposed to be the film festival South by Southwest, but it got canceled 2 days before we were supposed to go. So I was definitely on the marketing campaign, the PR for that. But right outside of that right now is the interviews and stuff like that. We didn't. I don't think we really were allowed the reach that we wanted to get. Because of not having that marketing on the the festival buzz that we were hoping for. But yeah, just pretty much the interviews and trying to get people to know about the film.
Right. And I know the actual release of the film wasn't that long ago in the grand
Mhm.
scheme of things. But are you starting to see any I don't want to say benefit, but um, any more interest, I guess, from other sources based on what you've done for that film so far, or?
Um, in a way, but I'm just an honest person, not as much as I would like I said, because I think we were definitely looking for that festival buzz, and we were supposed to have a theatrical release and have a more widespread release. And so I tell people, I'm just honest, it kind of burned, to be honest. I was hoping, I put in a lot of work and a lot of years in this industry, and I was hoping that this film would be seen by a wide audience and people would see what I could do and see that I'm a serious actor. And we never know what's going to happen. but a lot of people don't have money right now, being on video on demand, and it just makes it a little harder to reach the audience that we want to reach. It kind of be different with like streaming, like Netflix or something like that. But I'm hoping the film gets out there. I'm definitely looking to do some more big projects, and be seen as a one of those guys to go to.
Yeah.
Whether it's leading man, the two guy, or whatever. But I just want to get myself out there and start my legacy.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Mhm.
Before I get to the next question here, we're a little past the halfway mark, and I just want to remind folks that this is live. So if you do have questions or comments, feel free.
Yeah.
I do a little reminder about halfway through the show, just because people watch and they just kind of get absorbed into the show and forget that they can actually comment. So yeah, just remember, say hi. Having said that, let's touch a little bit on your musical side. Like you said, you're self-taught.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious how that came to fruition. Like, did you just decide, you know what, today I need to learn an instrument? So
Oh, well, I talked about earlier having a rough life, and I had a crazy stepfather, and so I was just trying to find ways not to be at home, and so I got into band, and my grandfather, I think the first instrument I played was clarinet. I started with clarinet and band, and from there, I just I love music so much I wanted to learn piano, and I think again my grandfather bought me a piano, and I just started messing around with it. And to this day, I pretty much taught myself everything I know and stuff. And music was a way of escape for me, and it's still very close to my heart, especially when I do my short films. Any of my projects, like I compose all my music. Like I'm not knocking anybody who does it, but I'm saying music is important to me. I don't like just throwing a musical track on there. Like I love composing every second of it, myself. And so music is very important. I think it's very important for the flow of the film too. I think it's sometimes not respected as much as it should. Beyond the action movies who are like do 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 do, all the big booms and all that kind of stuff. But music is very important. One of my favorite composers by far, like he was my favorite before I knew he was my favorite, and I like he's the composer for like literally all of my favorite movies is Michael Giacchino. This guy he's on a whole different level. He's like on a whole different level when it comes to composing films. From Planet of the Apes, Coco, his resume, like he knows how to get that emotion out of the scene. He doesn't over do it when it comes to dialogue. Like he's just so perfect. Like he has a true gift. Like, man, speaking of people I want to work with, definitely him.
okay.
When I start producing my films, like I'm like, listen, we're gonna find how to put him in the budget. Like he's so talented. I really enjoy his craft.
I'm horrible with names, but the one guy I know he's done the Game of Thrones stuff and the Westworld stuff, and
I know I can't even think of him right now.
yeah, but yeah, I definitely like his stuff as well. But yes, I completely agree. Like you touched on how important music is to a film. Like music can absolutely dictate the tone of the film,
Oh yeah,
and the
yeah.
emotional level of a film. And you don't realize that. And I've done this once or twice where if you take that music out and just watch the scene, it's just two people talking.
Yeah,
As soon as you
yeah,
throw that little bit of music in there, it's like, oh my God, oh my God.
yeah. Yeah, it does its
Um,
job.
it does. Yeah. So it was an interesting point you brought up there for sure. But when it comes to the actual music part of it, how did you teach yourself how to read and write music?
Well, I think at least like I grew up in a black church, and music is like it's almost necessary for every single person, even if you're not in the choir, even if you're not a musician. So it's such a big part of the black church or a gospel church that you just have to have it. And so I may look over people's shoulders every once in a while, but you hear it so much that you just know how to do it. Like I say, even people in the audience, like they know how to create parts, even if they're not in the choir. It just kind of is a part of you. And so, I learned by ear, and I can hear something and, pretty much map it out. There's some deep like jazz stuff, like jazz, you kind of got to study a little bit. But pretty much I'll just learn how to play by ear. Just if I can hear it, I can make myself play it. And just, after you dig around with it a while, your ear gets better and better. And then I started picking up other instruments like saxophone and picked up bass guitar for a while. I still haven't, as you said, I have acoustic guitar back there that I'm trying to get more acquainted with. But yeah, I played tuba, trumpet, all that kind of stuff, and just just practicing every day. Yeah, you get it. I guess maybe it's just in me. My mother said my father played music every night when she went to sleep up to her stomach. He would play classical music and different types of music. So maybe it was in me since the womb. So maybe that's how I got it.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kudos to you, because and sadly, I have no musical bone in my body. I'm glad my kids do. Like my two daughters, they can play guitar, piano. They're quite musical, but I am not. They get that from the mom's side. So,
I hear you.
no, that's very cool though, because I so many times in my career I've thought, I'd love to pick up a drums is the one thing I've always wanted to learn, which, of course I can see the drum set behind you there.
Yeah.
And I even had a musician friend who was he gave me some drumsticks. And they go, just go pound on it. I would not do it. And I was just like, I just have no clue.
Jump in there and do it. It's just like they say, when you get in the swimming pool and the water's cold, you just got to jump in there. Don't worry about the temperature.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I do have a couple questions that popped up here. Can you see the questions on your screen if you look at the comment section?
Let me see here. Oh, I didn't.
It should be on the top right, I think.
Oh, yeah, I see them now. I didn't know that. Yeah.
There you go. So I'll just kind of read it out. You mentioned replacing the characters in the film with your actual friends to get a genuine emotional reaction. The other way of doing it you called switching or transferring. How real can you get with that?
Too real. Like, it's scary. It's a problem I have with my friends. They're like, well, you can do that so well. How do we tell when you're lying? But whatever. No, it becomes really real. I was talking to a friend about a film that we did the other day, and the film is done. We shot it. It's me in the film. But when I even watched me doing the scene with my son, after the film was over and after we screened it, I was over there crying. And she's like, what is wrong with you? She was like, but I'm such a in touch with my emotions and other people, just my care for people. Like I said, I think it comes from my mother's upbringing and some of it's inside of me, but I can make anything real that I want to. And I'm just realizing probably in the last 2-3 years of my life that everybody else doesn't do that or can't do that. But yeah, anything like I can meet you today and just immediately, if I have to do a scene with you, make you like you've been my best friend. It does help to meet your scene partners before and maybe chill in the hotel and run lines together. But even if I don't, I can meet you right on set and I'll be ready to go, but because I think it's not only because I'm switching and substituting people, like I genuinely have a heart for people. If you ever catch me in an argument, I'm usually arguing for the equal treatment of people and peace and togetherness. But at the same time, I also myself become the aggressor. I'm very aggressive when it comes to bullies, and it's something I had all my entire life, and I had to control it. But I really have a care for people. I genuinely care about every person walking this earth, no matter where they're from, what nationality they are. And so, but I had to realize not everyone is like that. I've been taken advantage because of that. But as I tell people, any strength that you have can become a weakness. And it definitely was one of my greatest strengths and weakness for a lot of my life. And I had to learn how to control it. You can't help everybody. Everybody that you're helping doesn't even need help. I've given, I was a naive child. I was 19 and I was given rent. I was working a lot of jobs and I was a musician also. And I was helping some people pay their rent, but I didn't know they were using the money for crack cocaine, but they were using me because they knew I was a good person and would give them the money. But may not seem like I'm answering your question, but yeah, the question is, I just genuinely care about people. So when I see a person, any person, I can immediately feel the emotion for them or whatever, or care for them.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
There was another follow-up question, actually. Do you still have an acting coach?
Oh, okay. I hate answering this question, but I'm going to answer it. I preach acting classes a lot to people. I have never took an acting class in my life.
Really?
Okay. No, I've never taken an acting class. Mine is all based off being an empath. And I tell people, if I was an empath, I'd probably be a pretty horrible actor. Not because I think I'm so good at it. I would love to, especially if I find somebody I can work with. But I have audited a lot of acting classes, and I really don't like the way they teach. I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think a lot of people are bad teachers, to be honest. But and yeah, I mean, you want to exercise that muscle as much as possible. And I would like to get a chance to exercise it more, but a lot of it has been, there's been money related too. I've had to take care of my mother and different things. So some of it was not having the money to pay for acting classes, and some of it is just seeing it as not worth the sacrifice. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not the best advice to give, but yeah.
Well, so you've never taken like a workshop or anything like that, really?
No.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know for myself, like a lot of my experience does come from the workshops that I've done, and whether it be an audition workshop, like I don't know, have you even taken any of those, like an audition workshop or anything like that? Or
No. I'm the thing with me though is I've always been a self-studier. Like I was the person in the group project that I'll be like, okay, just put your names on it. I'll just do all the research and do the project. I just want to make sure the project is good. So even with I think a lot of people doing self-taped workshops and stuff like that. But for me, I'm a kind of do it all person. I just go on YouTube and study how to do it. And like I said, I learned cinematography. I knew nothing about cinematography 3 or 4 years ago, but I spent hours and hours and weeks, studying cinematography and how to take my own auditions and lighting and stuff. As you can see, I'm in love with lighting. I think you can tell. So yeah, anything if I saw the workshop, I would just go teach myself how to do it. And it comes from the piano. My whole life has been teaching myself how to do things. Yeah, I guess I'm cheap too.
Personally, I find that extremely impressive, to be honest. Just that you are kind of all self-taught, and like obviously you are not lacking in ambition. So
I am a very ambitious person. Like I think when I did, like I said, when I did my first short film and my computer was editing too slow, I was like, what's wrong with my computer? So I researched Google, and pretty much the answer was your computer's too slow and it's a sucky computer. So you got to get this type of computer. Okay, go look at this type of computer. That type of computer is $5,000. I don't want to spend $5,000. How can I make this cheaper? Then that's when I learned how to build computers. Like anything I want to learn how to do, I'm going to find out the way to do it, especially if I don't have to pay other people. That sounds bad, but it's the truth. So
right? Yeah,
I learned how to build computers off that, and I love it. I'm a computer nerd now. I love all that stuff. Yeah.
Thank goodness for YouTube, eh?
Seriously, man, I wish I would invest in it when it first came out. Like, man.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. You can find anything on there that you need to know. There's one other question that popped up here. How many auditioned no's before getting something?
That's
great
the
question,
part
by the
that
way.
people don't realize, man. It could be between 100 and 150 sometimes. And then with that 151 first one is like a small something, So that's why I tell people all the time, you can't get into this because you want to be famous or something, because, man, you have to have the heart and the mind for it, all the rejection. And after a while, you don't even see it as rejection. You just kind of say, okay, this is kind of part of the process.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Look, another question popped up. What is your most challenging role, and how did you overcome the mental barrier of performing for demanding directors?
Okay,
I love these questions, by the
it's
way.
one question, but it's two different. So the most challenging role, I think, was Lucky, definitely, for sure. It is something I've actually wanted. I love challenging roles. I love any role that I have to dig deep into. And so Lucky was definitely the most challenging role, like putting myself in there. You have to see the film. I don't want to say too much, but to put myself in that predicament and to tell myself that this is my world, as far as the racism and the other stuff that I have to do in the film, it's challenging. Demanding directors. I have a billion stories on that. And there are different types of stories, and I'll just give snippets. The demanding directors. There's certain stuff as a black man that I don't like perpetuating stereotypes. And so I auditioned for the role, and I changed some words in the audition. I think I had auditioned and a callback, and I booked the role. And so I got on set and I said it the way I said it in an audition. And the director was like, can you say this? I was like, no. I'm crazy, y'all. So don't do this. But I said no. I said because I think that's kind of just it's kind of demonizing it. It paints black men in the wrong way. I think the character can say it this way and still deliver the message. And it was absolutely true. Everybody on the set agreed. And he was like, did you audition like that? And I said, yes. And I said, I don't audition like this. And this is the way I want to do it. And you can say you are not supposed to do that, but I have a level of integrity with my career. Like, I'm not one of those people, like I said, that just want to do the job and be famous. I have another purpose in my life besides just acting. And so that was one situation. And here's one that's also bad, and it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. I can tell you many stories like this, but one I was on a pilot that it didn't get picked up, and I was working on this pilot. And people don't realize this, but the writer is on TV shows is much more of a power than the directors and all that kind of stuff. So the writers were the ones that liked me, and they were the reason that I was on set. The director and some of the producers didn't like me. They were talking off to the side about how I was ugly. I was not attractive to play the role because I was not attractive enough to be the love interest of the girl that I was, if they got picked up, I was going to be one of the main characters. And they were saying that I wasn't attractive enough to be the love interest. And Hollywood can get really shallow sometimes. And I'm very open with sharing these stories. And because I want people to know what they're getting into. I think a lot of people think it's all glamorous. It doesn't matter how good of an actor you are. And I can honestly say, not arrogance, but I think I was the strongest actor on that set, but they weren't paying attention to that. They were only paying attention that I was short, and that was another thing. I was too short. They wanted him to be 6'3" or whatever. I was like, what does that matter? Like, what does that matter? You want somebody who can tell the story and deliver the emotion that they're supposed to deliver. But yes, I've dealt with some crazy stuff in my career. I have so many of those stories that I can go on and on. And yeah.
Right. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. He worked off soapboxes for how many years?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I said, Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. Why can't I be 5'7", 5'8" and be okay? Why do I have to be 6 feet?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Heightism. It's a real thing in this industry. Yeah. It's real.
It is. No, it is. I mean, it's in reality, like the film industry in general is all, for a very large part of it, appearance related.
Yeah.
Right?
Vanity. A lot of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's looking for something specific in your appearance, your weight, your height.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's all dictated as you walk into the audition room before you even say a word.
Right.
Right. So it's all just visually based. It can be a tough market that way.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I started writing, though. So a little pressure taken off of me.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're actually getting, we're in the last 5 minutes or so here of the show. So time's been flying. Great questions, by the way. Thanks, folks, for that. If there's any more, please pop them up. I actually wasn't quite done with the music side of it because one of the other questions I wanted. So how many instruments have you actually learned by this point?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have a favorite?
Piano, definitely. Piano and organ. They're two different instruments, but I'm not sure which one I like the most because they're different and they have different. But I actually have an organ over here and a piano over here to my right. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think you'd write your own scores for your own films or anything?
So, I'll try to make this answer short. I think in all our purposes in life, we have different things that are given to us. And it was tough for me to admit that my entire life purpose wasn't to be a musician. I think it's a part of who I'm supposed to be. And a lot of my mentors always talk about how CEOs are not experts at anything. CEOs of companies are a jack of all trades. They know who to hire because they know how to do the job a little bit. And so I'm pretty sure I want to do original song, but I would want to hire somebody who specializes in that and is good as it. Like I said, Michael Giacchino, if you ever see this interview. So yeah, I would want to hire somebody who's good at that. Matt Jones too is another one of my favorites. He's a Black composer and he has his own orchestra. But yeah, those two are my favorites. So I would definitely want to just sit by and not micromanage them. Just sit by and just kind of tell them what I'm feeling and as a director and let them do it.
Right. And you do have, like, you've directed some stuff already. Can can you talk a little bit about that? And because it is a totally different aspect from any of the other ones, right? Like the acting or the writing, it's totally,
Oh yeah.
it's so much more encompassing, right? And I'm
Mhm.
just kind of curious maybe about even your first experience as a director and how you
Um,
felt about that.
I mean, it was an amazing feeling, like I said, because I wrote it, and you get a chance to control the story. And what a lot of people don't realize is, I mean, you don't have to, but it's good to know everyone's job on the set, like understand the lighting, the cinematography. And for me myself being an actor, I was much more, I think, in a very respectable way, as demanding of my actors. And I don't think any of my projects, to be honest, I don't think any of them knew I was an actor also. And so I was so demanding of them as an actor and what they deliver as far as the performances, even if it was a, independent, low budget, or whatever you want to call it, short film. I was always demanding of my actors, but you understand more how to get out of the actors what you need. And I think one of the biggest challenges actually was easy, was working with child actors in one of my films, One Last Hit, that we did for, I think, the 48-hour film festival. But you know more so how to pull stuff out of actors. You have to learn cinematography to know what lenses give certain emotions, or make the scene look the way that you want it to look. How to use camera motion, all that kind of stuff. So it's very important to know all that stuff. I think a lot of people think it's just turning on the camera. I got a red camera that's 4K, and that makes me a director. And I pose and do behind the scene pictures and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not into that kind of stuff. I have very few BTS on my sets because I'm really focused on creating the art. But there's a lot going through a director's head too. I used to be one. I thought the directors were trying to look cool or whatever they were, or pensive or whatever. And then when you direct your own project, you realize, like, I'm thinking 37 things at one time, and there's somebody trying to ask you a question, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you literally are making decisions. 50% of directing is casting, but you still have a lot of things to decide. And so that's why I say everyone on set is important. That's one thing I talk about all the time as a director. I hate how people say, oh, this department is not as important as this department. They're all important. I don't try to put who's the most important and all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously writers, editors, you don't have a story without a writer. The film can't be put together without an editor. And I
Well,
think
that's
editors
exactly
and writers are so underrated, but yeah.
no, absolutely. Like you said, like it's literally like an old watch, right? Like you've got all those gears and everything else. Without one piece, well, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
They all have to work together,
Hmm.
right? And that's absolutely what this industry is all about. You know, you have to have all the right pieces, and they all have to work well together
Right.
to make it work.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I think with a lot of people, I don't think they, again, with the directing, they just don't realize that the director, I think, is probably the most involved throughout the entire process,
Mhm.
right? Like, yes, the writer wrote it, but then the director has to have the vision. They take the vision, they find the actors, they put it all together. They tell people and move people around, do little chess pieces, and then they
Right.
have to also have to do it after the fact, right? They sit down with the editors and the sound guys and figure it all out. Like, it's
Mhm.
all encompassing through start to finish. Whereas actors do their thing, they're done. The
Yeah.
crew, they do the filming, they're done.
Mhm.
The editors wait till the film's done and then do their thing,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? The director's all the way through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tried it once. Wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's something else. It is. I actually
Yeah,
enjoy it though. I love it a lot. I love it. Mhm.
yeah. No, it's so kudos again to you, man. I'm very impressed with a lot of the stuff you said today. So, having said that, we are kind of wrapping up. But um, where can folks check out some of your stuff if they want to see some of
Um,
the stuff you've done?
I on Facebook, I think you can find me at facebook.com/my name, Lorenzo Yearby. And my Instagram is LA, as in kind of like Los Angeles, LA Yearby, which is my last name, Yearby. My Twitter, I'm horrible at Twitter, so I don't think that's the thing. But I try to post my stuff on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram's my main thing right now. I used to hate it, but so that, and like I said, the Facebook page, and I try to keep people up to date with my career and stuff and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, and you have a YouTube channel, I think, as well, right?
Oh, I do. I do have a YouTube. I'm kind of on and off on there. I'm trying to get more. Hopefully next year I'll be more active on there. But yeah, I think my YouTube. it's youtube.com/LA Yearby, or it might be my name. I'm not sure. But well, yeah, you should be able to find me on there by searching my name. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, so I guess that kind of wraps us up. I'd again like to thank you for coming on the show, spending some time with us. I'd like to thank the folks who kind of participated and asked some questions. That was great. I'll ask you to hang around for a couple minutes after the show.
All right.
The other thing I did want to say for folks, next week's guest is a Alberta local actress, and she's done very well for herself. Her name is Michelle Thrush, so definitely keep an eye out for her next week. Um, Definitely look forward to that one as well. So yes, thank you all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Take care.